Hello there, everybody. Welcome back to Star Wars Lads. This week we've got for you our predictions for The Bad Batch Season 3, Episode 8, Bad Territory. We're going to talk about all the things we think might happen in next week's episode of The Bad Batch. But before we do so, make sure you're hitting that like button. Can't overemphasize enough how much that helps out our channel and helps the video. Greatly appreciate a like and subscribe to the channel for more Star Wars content just like this. We're covering The Bad Batch Season 3 in its entirety, so make sure you join us every single week. Every Wednesday, we're doing lives where we discuss the latest episode of The Bad Batch with all of you, give you our review, and discuss maybe what is going to be happening in the rest of the season. So stay tuned for that every single Wednesday, and stay tuned for predictions for every new episode every single Monday as well before the new episode drops. So let's talk a little bit about Bad Territory here. Interesting title, very different from most of the titles we've had this season. And episode 6 and 7 being a double episode, a bit of a transitionary point in the season. Technically the start of the second third of this season with 6 and 7. We're going through the rest of this third. We have a few more episodes to get to the next third. Episode 8 seems to be a bit of a turning point. 7 ends with the Bad Batch and Rex and Hauser all escaping from Wolf. Wolf kind of lets them go in order to kind of preserve that clone posterity there as he sees what the Empire is starting to do to them, starts to believe Rex, trusts Rex from their past interactions. So we have that happen, and then as that ends, the tag for the episode really is Rex turning to Hunter and saying, hey, you got to find out why Omega is so important. Why are they after her? And so that seems to be what's leading us into episode 8. Sanak, I'm going to pass it over to you for your thoughts here first. What do you think is going to happen in Bad Territory?
Well, as much as I really do think that the last pair of episodes that we got really set the tone for, the next half of this final season, I don't think we'll necessarily drop further into like darker, more serious plot elements. I think what will happen is that we'll have a little bit of this ongoing question that Rex raised, like who really is Omega? What is special about her? That will be a bit of a through line between these like next 2 or 3 episodes. I could definitely see that happening there. But I think what I would personally prefer to see is Bad Territory kind of just deal with a little bit more of this growing or regrown Bad Batch dynamic as they try to solve that overall larger mystery, but end up finding something that is a little bit more sourced from the first 2 seasons. When I think of Bad Territory, I really do think of like animalistic and almost like a zoo-like environment, like shuttered off, where things are in some sort of habitat for crazy experiments or whatnot. So I want to almost say that Bad Territory to me sounds like this could be maybe a return for like the Zilla Beast. We've seen in the trailers that little water monster of sorts that kind of drags Wrecker and Hunter. It does feel like this could just be a mission that they think will give them some closer understandings, like, well, okay, we know this part of who Omega is now. We've figured out something from the data pad here that kind of leads us here. It was what I was talking about a couple of weeks ago, but I think now we might really be starting to dig deep into that since Rex has almost mandated it. So I think this could become a little bit more of just a filler sort of episode in the sense that it's not going to really be heavy on the plot, but it will ultimately be as a result of this through line of like, we need to figure out who Omega is. And this is just a good way to continue building off of like what other projects that Hemlock, the Kaminoans, the Empire has really kind of thrown themselves into. I don't think we should look at Tantus as just the end all be all for Star Wars. That it is a warehouse, it is a garrison, it is all these different things. And Legends is known for storing so many different Imperial experiments, but you can't do all of them there. You kind of have to use different planets, different systems, and then transport them as needed, right? And that was kind of the point of the whole Zilla Beast episode, right? It was being transported, and then things went crazy. So I could see definitely this being a good way for them to try to figure out a little bit more about Omega and then end up discovering a little bit more about the weird, strange, darker mysteries that are, growing as we learn more and more about Tantus.
I like a lot of those ideas, and I think we're on the right track there because there's really not a wrong answer for what bad territory could mean. I agree in the sense that, like, the next episode should be about them trying to figure out more about Omega. In my head, maybe like retracing their steps. We've done a lot of, and we see this a lot in animation because when you create assets, you like to reuse them a couple times because it takes a while to build them. But we've seen, like last episode with Senator Singh, them reusing some stuff from season one. I think maybe in this episode we start to see them retrace their steps back towards things from season one that might give a little bit of an indicator of what Omega is. If that was the plot point of season one, we jumped away from it in season two. It's the plot point again. Why is Omega important? Why does the Empire want Omega? Back then it was mostly Nala Se wanting Omega. Now the entire Empire's after her. What could be the reason? And so I think we could see locations from one return. Obviously, Camino could be a cool one, but with Tapoca City gone, is there a secret Kaminoan cloning facility like we see in season one, or an original facility that maybe like AP5 is like, hey, I know of this place, let's go check it out. Some things about crossing enemy lines, something deep in enemy lines, I think would be interesting. Also, could just be another kind of a mission episode like we had in episode 5, where we got to learn more about Tantus as well. Let's go with Echo, and we picked up Gregor at the end of last episode. Let's go with Echo and Gregor and try to find out something about Tantus, something about the location. It could also just mean that they're surrounded. They're stuck in hostile territory. I theorized in the live the other night that the Bad Batch right now, knowing that they're holding Omega, knowing that they're holding the key to the Empire getting a bit more desperate. Their attempt to capture Omega has failed. Maybe we start to see the bounty hunters show up and really the Bad Batch being cornered from all edges of the galaxy. They basically can't go anywhere where they're safe. They have Pabu. Maybe we see them be forced into going back to Pabu in a kind of a dangerous way. Maybe not next episode, but in a future episode, to where that next double episode might have to do with the downfall of Pabu. Something where they're trapped. I think them starting to get suffocated, needing answers, but not having too many options for how to get them. We're going to see the Bad Batch start to do some desperate things here. We're going to see them start to go out on a limb and really take risks that they've been opposed to taking. We haven't seen them take too many risks since season one. They've been very risk averse because they've got their comfortable life as kind of smuggler, bounty hunter type characters, living on a paradise in Pabu, basically, and just needing enough credits to get by. Now we're going to see them actually thrust into this conflict. And I hope it means for them that they have to deal directly with the Empire, that we have to get answers. Like, don't leave it until the very last episode of the show to go, this is why Omega is important. Like, let's start to string the audience along a bit. Every episode, let's feel like we learn a little bit more and we're inching a little bit closer to that answer. I've liked that they've done that for the most part this season, with them trying to figure out what Tantus is and where it is, them trying to reconcile with Crosshair and figure out, is he still under mind control? That could be another plot element that comes back up here. But I think something along the lines of completing that mission would be interesting. Still have the turbo tank thing that's coming here in the future. Could be about stealing weaponry or something for Rex's mission. I feel like that would be the most kind of superfluous way of using them after this last episode. Like, that would be back to kind of the Sid idea of like, hey, we need something, go get it. That's what the Bad Batch used to do. I've been enjoying how this season is every episode one step closer. So if there's something to do with the turbo tank, I hope it's an actual key reason. They just kind of steal it to escape from something they were trying to do to get information about Omega. But that to me should be the next step. What is Omega? Why is she so important? AZ, it would be a good character to turn to for that information. He worked with Nala Se for so many years. He worked on Omega, possibly. Let's see what he has to say. Maybe go back and retrace the steps of some things to do with the Kaminoans. That would be really interesting to me. But what do you guys think? Let me know in the comments. We'd like to hear your theories. We'll comment back and discuss The Bad Batch Season 3, Episode 8 in the comments with y'all. Thank you so much for watching. Again, can't stress how much a like really helps our channel and helps us get out there with the rest of the Bad Batch audience who is missing out on some great content. Make sure you're subscribing if you're new and you'd like to hear us cover the Bad Batch and predict our way all the way through the rest of Season 3. Join us every single Wednesday for our live reaction and reviews, as well as your Q&A and theory episodes. Make sure you join us Wednesday nights. We do it about 7 p.m. Pacific time. Hopefully you can join us there. Check out all the other great content on the channel. We just dropped 2 Star Wars character tier lists, a part 1 and a part 2, massive videos. You should check those out if you're interested in seeing where we would rank all the most famous Star Wars characters. You can also check out a variety of shorts on the channel, as well as vote in our community tab for the greatest Star Wars movies and TV shows of all time. Thank you so much for watching this video, and we will see you all in the next one.